In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to make these cute little amigurumi chicks. This is a beginner-friendly tutorial, so let's try. First, we'll make the wings. Loop the yarn around your fingers and put the hook through the center and pull on a piece of yarn. Then do a little chain stitch to secure it. Put the hook through the center of the loop, yarn over and pull through some yarn. You've now got 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again and pull through both loops. We'll do that 6 times. So there was the first one. Put your hook through the center again, yarn over and pull through a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops. Put your hook through the center again, yarn over and pull through a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops. That was our 3rd stitch. Now here's number 4, 5, and 6, the last one. When you've finished, snip off our yarn tail and then pull the center tight. First pull through the yarn you are working with so it doesn't come undone, and then pull the center very tight. You should have a little half circle there, and we'll use that as a wing. Make another wing using the same method as this. Next we'll make the body starting at the top of the head. Start with an anchor knot in the end of your yarn, and then wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a magic ring like we just made for the wings. But this time we're going to do 8 single crochet stitches. My finger got in the way for you to see it here, but remember to do that one little chain to start your magic ring. Then do a single crochet, the same as we did for the wings. We'll do 8 of those. So here's the second one, and the third one. Then I swap the side that anchor knot is on because it makes it easier to close later. Here's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Next we're going to pull that yarn tail to close the magic ring, but don't close it completely. If you close it completely, it's too hard to do the next stitch. In the next stitch, we're going to go into that first stitch in the front and back of the top loop there, and we're going to do 2 single crochets. So it's an increase, which means you do 2 into the same space. Pull the loop on your yarn to make a big loop there so it won't come undone, and note the direction that the yarn is coming around inside that magic ring, and pull it tight in the same direction. That way it will close easier. Put your hook back into the loop and pull it closed. I've put the instructions on the screen again for this round. We've already done the first increase, now it's a single crochet. Trap the yarn tail from the center of the magic ring as you work. The next stitch will be an increase, so that's 2 single crochets in the same space, and then a single crochet in the next space. That's 2 of the repeats that we need to do, and we'll do those again. So the next one is an increase, so that's 2 stitches in the one space, and then a single crochet in the next space. Then an increase again, and 1 more single crochet in the last space there. Insert a round marker so you'll be able to see when you get to the end of the round. I've used a piece of coloured yarn here. This is round 3, and the pattern is to do an increase in the first stitch, then a single crochet in the next stitch, and a single crochet in the stitch after that. And we'll repeat that another 3 times, so 4 times in all, and there'll be 16 stitches at the end of the round. You can see that we're close to the knot, so we won't crochet over that anymore until we get past the knot. So tuck it just behind your stitches as you crochet past it, still following the pattern. And then when you're past that knot, we'll crochet through the work and into the loop. That will anchor the loop there so the magic ring will never come undone. I usually crochet a few more times into that loop until it's firm but not too tight, and then just crochet normally around the rest of the round following the pattern. Here's our last increase in round 3, so you'll do an increase, 2 stitches in the same space, and then a single crochet in the next space, and 1 more single crochet into the last space here. When you reach round 4, move your round marker up to the next round, and in this round we'll do 3 single crochet and then an increase. So there's 1 single crochet in one space, 1 in the next space, 1 in the next space, and then we'll do an increase in the 4th space. So just repeat that pattern 4 times and you'll have 20 stitches at the end of the round. So that's a single crochet, another single crochet, another single crochet, and then the next one will be an increase in that next space. So that's 2 stitches in the same space. Then just repeat that pattern to the end of the round. Single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and then an increase. And here we are at the last increase. So the last stitch in the round is an increase and you should have 20 stitches. Move your round marker up to the next round, and in round 5 it's going to be a single crochet in each space all the way around. So you'll still have 20 stitches at the end of the round. So here's 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we're halfway, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and there's 20. So you can check whether you've got the right number of stitches very easily that way. Now we're going to turn it in the other way. Move your round marker up again so that you'll find the end of the row, and this is round 6. In round 6 we'll do the same as round 5, it's just a single crochet in each space, and you should have 20 stitches at the end of the round. In round 7 we're going to attach the wings. I've chosen to not have the wings exactly opposite each other. I wanted to have the wings just slightly forward. You can adjust the pattern if you'd prefer to have them exactly opposite each other. So here's the last stitch in round 6. Move your round marker up again. And in round 7 we're going to do 7 single crochets and then attach the first wing. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Earlier I forgot to tie a knot in the ends here. If you don't tie a knot they can come loose. So tie a knot relatively close to the end of your work, like this. And do the same thing for the second wing as well. We'll attach the wings using 2 stitches, one on either side, and there is an underside and a top side, so work into the side that doesn't have the knot. So put your hook through both the front and back of that last stitch. It's a little hard to get through there, and then put your hook through your work and do a normal single crochet stitch. And then reach across to the other side of the wing, going again through both the front and back parts of that last loop that we made. So there's the front and back. Get the yarn tails out of the way and go into the next space around. and do a single crochet into that stitch. Pull the yarn tails so that they're not going to be showing through into your work. I accidentally pulled through that second loop there, so I'm undoing that and then doing a normal single crochet stitch. Next I'm going to do 7 single crochet stitches and then add the wing on the other side. If you want them exactly opposite each other, you'll need to do 8 single crochet stitches here, but I've chosen to do just 7 because I want the wings to be just slightly forward. We'll do the same thing again when we get to the other wing. It's very difficult to describe to you what's the top side and bottom side of the wing. The easiest way to say is the side that was facing you when you're crocheting is the top side. So in this case, you crochet into the side that doesn't have the knot first, and then into the side that has the knot second, and then your wing will be facing up the right way once you've crocheted them in. Remember to move those yarn tails out of your way, and we'll tie them together once we've finished crocheting down a few more rounds. So that's the second wing done. Now there are 2 single crochets to end this round. Remember to move your round marker up for the next round, and the next 2 rounds are just a single crochet in each space. So this is round 8 and it's a single crochet in each space, and then round 9 will be the same, and then you've finished the top part of your bird. Make sure you're only crocheting into the spaces as you go under the wings. Don't catch any part of the wing as you're crocheting around. Be careful again under this wing not to get any of those bits of yarn or any of the wing caught in your stitches. We could have tied the yarn tails off before, but it would make the eyes harder to attach. So just take care as you crochet around there. That was the second last round, and here's round 9. Don't forget to move that round marker so you can find when you get to the end, and it's a single crochet in each space until the end of the round. You'll be happy to know your little bird is about halfway done now. After this, we just need to make a base, put in some eyes, sew on a little beak, sew the 2 parts together after stuffing the center, and then we'll make a cute little tuft at the top and a little tail. And then your little chick will be finished. You're nearly there, only a few more stitches now and you've finished the head part. To make sure you don't get a bump at the end, we don't end with a single crochet stitch. For your second last single crochet stitch, pull it a little tight, and the last stitch will be a slip stitch. To make a slip stitch, put your hook through the next space, yarn over and pull through both your work and the last loop on your hook. Snip off a yarn tail, it doesn't need to be as long as I've done here, and pull your yarn through that loop. Put it on a needle and we'll do an invisible end. To do an invisible end, go through the next stitch, both front and back parts of that loop. Pull your yarn through so that it's about the same size as the stitches around it. Go back into the hole that the yarn is coming from and the little loop below it. If you tighten carefully, it will look the same as all the stitches around it. That's why it's called an invisible end. Next, we'll attach the eyes. The eyes are attached on the opposite side from where we ended, and they're between rounds 5 and 6. It's on the side where the wings are slightly closer together. So put the first eye in 1 stitch away from the edge of the wing, and it's 4 spaces across to the next eye, which should also be about 1 space away from the edge of the wing. Check and make sure you're satisfied with the position of the eyes before you attach the safety clasp to the back of the eyes. Press the safety clasp on firmly and check to make sure that it's properly attached. Then tie a knot in the 2 yarn tails from the wings, but make sure you don't make it so tight that it distorts the shape of your little bird. You can see here I've left plenty of space, and that will be hidden inside together with the stuffing when we fill the bird. Snip off the ends and take a second to admire your little bird. Next we'll make the base. First we need to make a little knot in the end of our yarn to use as the magic ring anchor knot. Snip off that little piece of yarn at the end there that we don't need, and then we'll start the magic ring. The magic ring for the base is 6 single crochet stitches. So wrap the yarn around your fingers, pull through a little bit of yarn, don't forget that first little chain to anchor it, and do 6 single crochet stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now pull the magic ring closed a little, but remember not to pull it too tight so that we can do that first increase. In round 2 there will be an increase in every stitch. Make sure you put the hook through both the front and back parts of that loop and pull through some yarn and do a single crochet stitch, and then do another one in the same space. Then pull a long loop with the yarn on your hook while you close the magic ring. Pull it nice and tight. Put your hook back through that loop space and pull it closed, and then we'll continue with the stitches in this round. There'll be an increase in every space, and remember to trap the yarn tail from the magic ring as you go around. I forgot to advise you to put a round counter in there, so keep a count on your stitches. There will be 6 increases in this round, and there'll be 12 stitches at the end of the round. The magic ring yarn tail that you're crocheting into each stitch can get a little loose as you crochet around. So when you get to the end of this round, pull that yarn tail tight, but not too tight, so that it's nice and firm, but not stretching your work in a wonky way. Now move your round marker up to the next round. I've forgotten again. The first stitch is an increase and then a single crochet in the next space. We'll do that 6 times, and there'll be 18 stitches at the end of the round. So it's an increase, so that's 2 stitches in the same space, and then a single crochet. So that's the second set there. Keep that yarn tail firm. Now here's the third increase, and a single crochet in the space after it. We're about to crochet that yarn tail loop in, so make sure you keep it firm all the way around here. This is the 4th set here, an increase and a single crochet, and after that I'm not going to crochet that in anymore, so I'll tuck it behind. There's an increase and a single crochet in the next space, and here's the 6th increase in the next space, and we'll start crocheting into the center of that anchor loop so that the magic ring can't come undone. And we'll do a single crochet in the next space and still keep anchoring that loop, and that's the end of that round. And we're going to do a partial round next. We'll do another 2 sets of those increased single crochets. So we'll do an increase in this stitch and a single crochet in the next, and an increase in the following stitch and a single crochet in the next stitch, and then we'll do a slip stitch. Then snip off a yarn tail and do an invisible end, the same as I taught you in the last section. To make the beak, I gave myself a little guideline at the top. I put it 2 stitches apart in line with the bottom of the eyes. Then I made a point halfway between those, 1 row down from that guideline, and I sewed up and down between that 1 point at the bottom and slowly, a step at a time, across the top of my guideline at the top, and I made that little triangle beak. You can make yours as large or small as you like. Your little bird's nearly finished. There aren't many steps to go now. First, fill your bird with whatever kind of filling you like to use. You can use fibre fill or hobby fill or even the stuffing out of a pillow. Next, tie the two yarn tails from the body and the base together. That way your stitches there won't come undone. And snip off those yarn tails. Then you'll need to make a slip knot, and we'll pass the hook through the body part first, then the base part, then the slip knot, and start crocheting through there. We're going to use a slip stitch to crochet the two parts together. So first go through the body, then the base, yarn over and pull through all three, the base, the body, and the loop on the hook. It's a little difficult to get it through that first loop because it's a slip knot, but after that it's not so hard. Through the body, through the base, yarn over and pull on a loop, pull it through all three, and just repeat that all the way around the base of the body. It might be easier to see from this angle. You can see that each time I'm doing a slightly loose stitch here. If you crochet around the bottom with tight stitches, it will pull all your work in at a strange angle, so make sure you make each of these stitches a little loose. If you find that you have some stuffing getting in your way, make sure you push that out of the way or the stuffing can get caught in the stitches. And if that happens, you can have little bits of fibre sticking out everywhere, so you don't want that. So just push it in to keep it out of the way. If that does happen, you can go around the outside later and snip off those little bits of sticking out fibre, but be careful not to cut any of your stitches. Remember to keep each of your stitches nice and loose. Do you love your little chick? It's nearly finished. We only have to finish around the base here and then give it its little feathers at the top and a little tail, and sew on some feet. I always love this part. You've put in the hard work to make all the little bits. As you're putting them together, they come together so fast, and suddenly you have a cute little chick. Be careful crocheting where the invisible stitches are. It is easy to go down an extra row, so just make sure you're staying in that top row of stitches. And now it's the last stitch here. Go into the one before the stitch that you started with, and then we'll end with an invisible end. So give yourself enough yarn tail to make another invisible end. Pull the yarn through the stitch you just finished, put on a needle and sew through that slip stitch that we started with. So through the front and back of that slip stitch, back into the loop that the yarn's coming through, and down in through behind into a stitch down lower there. When you're pulling that yarn closed, make sure you make it about the same size as the stitches around it. Next, find where the yarn tail from the slip stitch is coming out of, the hole that it's coming through, and sew down to the same hole so that this yarn from your current yarn tail is coming out of the same space. Then tie a knot by tying them together twice. You could do 3 times if you're worried about it coming undone. Then snip it off to the same length. Put it back on your needle, and then you'll sew those yarn tails into the body. Go through the same hole that both those yarn tails were coming through. You can poke it up anywhere through the body, it doesn't matter. Pull it tight, actually pull it too tight. See how it's too tight there? Snip it off and then massage it back so that those bits of yarn there will go back into the body and you won't be able to see them. Next, we'll sew on the feet. You'll need some brown yarn, and we'll stitch up into that bottom row and pull the yarn out through that bottom row there. Go up one row and put the needle in about the same width as one side of the eye and through to the other side of the eye. Then putting the needle through the same hole that you started with, go halfway between those other two stitches you've got at the top to make the third toe. Pull the yarn through there and make sure your stitches are nice and even. You can straighten them out now. It's easier to do it now than later. Now put the needle through the same hole at the bottom of the toe there and come out the hole in the bottom of the chick where the yarn is coming through there so that you can tie off a nice neat knot. Make sure the toe's the way you want it to be and then tie off down at the bottom here. Tie off 2 or 3 times again. Don't pull too tight or you might change the shape of the toes. Then sew through that hole and up into the other side under the other eye and make the other foot. Then tie off and hide the yarn tails in the body the same way we did before. To make the tuft at the top of the head, sew between the first and second rounds in the top and straight down through to the first and second rounds in the bottom, leaving a yarn tail at the top. Sew straight across the base and between the first and second rounds again, and straight up through the body to the top of the head between rounds 1 and 2 again. That'll be straight across from where the other one entered. Next we're going to try and make what would look like a plus shape, so we'll go between those two and on either side, again between rows 1 and 2, go straight down and through the base between rounds 1 and 2 again. Make sure you leave a loop of yarn at the top because we're going to be tying them into tufts. Then sew straight across the bottom, so you'll have a little plus shape across the bottom there, and straight up through the body into rounds 1 and 2 at the top of the body. So now you can take the needle off and we'll pull those pieces of yarn to be nice and even together and tie a knot as close to the head as possible without pulling too tight. I've nicknamed this series of crochet amigurumi that I'm making with you the button babies, because down at the bottom there's a little plus, much like the plus you can see on buttons. The next thing to do is to snip off the top. You can snip it off as long or as short as you like. Then you can unravel your yarn to make sure that that tuft at the top looks cute, and then we'll make the tail. To make the tail, find a stitch halfway between the wings at the back. We're going to sew a little X using one long piece of yarn. Make sure you leave a tail of yarn at each stage of this so that you'll be able to tie them all together. Make a nice neat knot as close to the body as you can. Next, snip off a short tail and unravel the yarn ends again. Once you've done that, your little chick is finished. It's so cute. I hope you enjoyed making your own cute little chick. Check out my other tutorials in this beginner series of button babies. There will be lots to choose from and they're all beginner friendly with only a few stitches to practice.